time.
My name's Jake Smith, and I go under the moniker The White Buffalo. I was 19 when I got my first guitar, and I started writing songs immediately with really no agenda to be a songwriter or a musician. It's just what I tended to do, and I didn't realize that I could sing at all or had any kind of unique vocal range or tone to my voice. The very first song I wrote was a very primitive song. I only knew maybe 2 chords, maybe 2.5 chords at that point, and I wrote a song about suicide. It was though, even the initial ones was a narrative, and it was character driven, and it was about a guy jumping off a building called The Jumper. Initially, I lived in San Francisco and I didn't have anything. I didn't have a press pack, I didn't have a CD, I didn't have an 8x10 or whatever people were using then. And I wasn't having much luck getting shows, so I started calling venues and saying, hey, my name's Jake Smith, The White Buffalo, and I would play 30 seconds of a song into the phone and leave my phone number and hang up. And even though how primitive or how silly that idea was to do that, it worked 100% of the time, that it would end up getting shows because of that.
The oaks and the sage and the fields of gold, birds and the bees ain't never been told. The end is near as the morning light. Whoa.
My writing style is, I write in more of a character-driven way and in narratives, so they're often short stories. I imagine them as like small movies, each one, as little mini movies. And often I take a human story, or I try to take a very human story, a character-driven story, and have it evoke some kind of emotion, and or have, you know, hopefully take the listener or myself to a different place. The compositions that I wrote for Sons of Anarchy, or not for Sons of Anarchy, they were all composed and written prior to Sons of Anarchy. Seeing the show and seeing, you know, your songs put to picture is exciting, and it was always, you know, the one thing I was always curious to see how they would, one, just how the show would go and how the story would go, but then two, how they would use my music in the show, and they'd often let it help guide the story, which was kind of unique to that show. They'd often have these long montage scenes at the end that there would be no dialogue, and it would just be a montage, and it would have the music, and it would be full blast, or there would be a little dialogue, and they would have a lyric up in full volume that was help telling the story, which was exciting. Yeah, it was cool. Common themes in my repertoire are, I mean, there's an endless palette of life to kind of write about, and I try to write about the majority of things. I tend to veer towards the darker, shadowier sides of existence, but then at the same time there's more positive things. But there's love and murder and booze and violence, and you know, there's really no subject that I wouldn't really touch. I just try to have some kind of emotion. Every song I want to have take someone on some kind of a journey, whether it be an emotional thing or a thought-provoking thing, and that's about it. When I'm writing, I don't know, I think I can really compartmentalize my life to the point where I separate writing and life to a point where I don't carry much baggage around with me at all. It all kind of, maybe it's therapeutic to be able to write these kind of emotional songs that are moving. But yeah, I mean, I try to make every word count, and I try to make every song and every moment in each song have a purpose and have it either make you feel something, make you think about something, you know, and the narrative style is, again, I could take small stories and very human things that are often one character. You know, some of them are autobiographical or semi-autobiographical. They're kind of twisted versions of the truth or of some of my life, but a lot of them are completely fantastic. But even Even the ones that are fantastic songs about murder or about kind of God and devils and whatnot, I still try to bring it to the table in kind of a truthful, honest place. That I think is kind of, you know, even the idea of writing in narratives is kind of a lost art in songwriting these days. There's not that many people that really do it. But it's been the majority of my style for a long time.